everybody, what's going on? Welcome to episode 27 of the show. If you're in need of some positive vibes, you're going to get them from this episode, dude. Joining me today is a good friend of mine, Alex Hooper. He's a comedian based out of Los Angeles. You might have seen him on America's Got Talent. He was on the show this year doing some pretty funny stuff, man. He's one of the best roast joke writers I've ever heard. If you don't know about the roast, the Comedy Central roasts, there's a show in LA called Roast Battle on Tuesday nights, or there was pre-apocalypse. And he's a known figure in the comedy world and in the roast world and in my life because I love the guy. We started off talking about his experience on America's Got Talent, and we delved into some current event stuff and just some positive vibes, dude. This guy brings the vibes, dude. So you'll enjoy it. Show's coming up, let's see, October 1st through 3rd. I'm in Tampa, Florida, opening for JP Sears at Side Splitters Comedy Club. Come through if you're in Tampa. And after that, I don't know, maybe Utah, maybe Texas again in like Midland or something like that. I'm going to try to get back out to Texas as soon as I can. And hopefully more soon, dude, if the country can open more. I don't know. We'll see. But until then, enjoy this week's episode with my man, Alex Hooper. Yeah, that's what the past couple weekends have been. Is like, yeah, just I want to be on stage. I don't care what you're paying me. I don't care. You know?
Also, we're probably not worth quite as much as we used to be anyway right now. Get me a few performances in, and then I'll go back to being like, okay, I need a minimum of 300 per show.
Totally. Dude, I was bringing my notebook on stage, and I never do that. I mean, even at open mics, I try not to let myself.
Yeah.
But when I was opening it for JP in Houston, I had my notebook with me. I turned it into like a bit, but it still felt like, oh man, I need this to like.
Dude, it's scary. I know. Yeah. Have you had this happen yet where you're in the middle of a joke and you're like, I have no idea where this goes.
Yeah, 100%.
I know there's a connector piece right here that will get me to the other side of this punchline, and I don't know
what it is. Yeah, and so I just ended it as like a sentence, and there's just no laughs. And I was like, all right, well that used to be funny, so I'll just figure it out. But yeah, dude, it's nice to take those first steps back.
Yeah.
Into doing it, you know?
I did a show last night, just an outdoor show. And
cool. In LA?
Yeah, and secretly. Shh. But yeah, like an outdoor patio. We didn't even use a microphone because but man, I mean, just being in front of people again, it's just so good.
Yeah, doesn't it feel good?
We need it.
Yep. Was AGT not in front of anybody?
Just the judges.
Just the judges?
Just the judges.
Did they pump in any type of like
they put in some for this last round, the live shows, they did put in some laughter, some canned laughter and stuff like that. I didn't ask them to, they just did it. I think, but it did, I will say, like, as much as I hate the idea of like, oh yeah, just put in a laugh track, it really did help the flow of what I was doing to hear a little bit of like, okay, there's some laughter, so wait a beat and now tell another joke.
Yeah.
But I mean, the fact is, I mean, everything on that show was against me. Like, I mean, I haven't performed in 6 months. I'm doing brand new jokes. I'm performing live for 10 million people on a huge stage with the brightest lights in my face, and I'm only performing for 4 billionaires who are 75 feet away from me. Like, everything about that scenario is just atrocious by comedian standards.
Oh, it's the worst. That is legit. Like, if you were trying to draw a picture of the worst environment to perform comedy, it would be all those things.
Yeah, exactly. And the fact is, like, I mean, I know it's a huge opportunity. I can't let that distract me from going out there and doing what I'm supposed to do. Yeah. Like, you just have to take in all those elements and be like, how can I use this to my advantage, and how can I rise up above this bullshit where basically every comedian on this season failed because they didn't have an audience. You know, I was seeing.
Yeah, you were the last comedian to make it.
I was the last one on the, I was the very last one to get kicked off, which is crazy. And I think so much of it, I was reading comments online, which I know people say you shouldn't do it. I love doing it.
I do it all the time.
Yeah, and I'll respond if people say they hate me. I'm like, I know this guy's the worst.
Yeah, same.
Keep him off TV forever. You know, I have so much fun with them. But like, I was reading all these comments, being, man, that guy was funny the first time, but this last set, I didn't really get it. It's like, because no one is laughing. You do put the greatest stand-up comedian in the entire world in a room with nobody and see how funny they are.
Right.
You just don't, you can't tell. So I designed the whole show, like the whole last round, of be like, how can I do this in a way that is not reliant on audience feedback? And luckily I came up with something creative and they allowed me to run with it. Thank you.
The joke book. And
Yeah.
That bit was so funny, dude.
Thank you so much, man.
Were those all yours? All your
They were
jokes?
all my jokes. Everything was my concept, all my jokes. The artist was Eddie Malden, who is a cartoonist in LA.
Does he do a lot of show flyers?
I don't think he does show flyers. He's been a showrunner on a couple of cartoons and things like that. He used to do stand-up years ago. He doesn't really do it anymore because he's gotten much more into just writing and developing his own things.
Yeah.
But he drew me years ago and did such a killer job. And when I thought about like, okay, I'm doing this book, but how can we really bring this to a bigger concept and bring it to life? I mean, when you're on a show like America's Got Talent, you can't just think about jokes. You have to go so far beyond that if you really want to make a statement and a mark. And Eddie was willing to do it. And I mean, they paid him jack shit for what he did for me.
Yeah.
They paid me even less. So
I didn't even know you got paid to do America's Got Talent. Right. Yeah, exactly.
You get nothing.
You get exposure.
Exposure. LA and Chris D'Elia's favorite word.
LA money.
But yeah, I mean, is like you still. I mean, it's so great. I was so grateful for the opportunity because literally, I auditioned on March 14th. March 15th, we go into quarantine.
Right.
I have absolutely nothing to do except work on that show.
Now, didn't you get America's Got Talent the year before as well?
I did it 2018.
2018.
That's when I had like the performance that went super viral where I get buzzed like the entire way.
And for people who haven't seen, your talent, I mean, you're a stand-up comedian by trade and by nature. And on the show, you kind of did like a hyper realistic character and did roast jokes.
Yes.
Which were fucking amazing because you're one of the best roast comedians I've ever seen in my life.
Thanks, man.
Yeah, and I mean that. And so you did that in 2018. And did you get moved on or did you get buzzed off? So you got buzzed off, but it blew up because it was so funny.
It's such a singular experience for me. Like I've only talked to like one other person ever who's had this, and like standing on stage by yourself, being booed and screamed at by 3,000 people with all of the lights on, like getting buzzed, and those buzzers are so loud. And like, because the thing is like if you're on a sports team, you're with your brothers, you're with your teammates, and you're listening to this going, we can rise above this. I was by myself, knowing I was being televised, and it's just like, it was horrible in the moment, but after the fact, I was like, oh, cool, I stood up, it looks good. And then Simon voted yes, which I was the only person in 13 seasons to get a yes from him and a no from everyone else. So I was like, okay, I did something right here.
Right.
And when they invited me to come back, I was just like, like, let's go do this all over again.
Yeah.
And I was like, maybe I can like win them over this time. I'll win over the judges. I'll win over the crowd. And then, of course, my first performance this season, there is no audience because COVID was starting to rage through our system.
Yeah.
So then again, I'm just in a room with 3 billionaires in a theater that holds 3,000 people. I mean, everything I've done on there is an uphill battle, and I am not complaining in the slightest because it has challenged me in so many different ways to just step up and still succeed in the worst situation.
Did you, when you were writing for the segment you did in 2018, were you choosing between doing your act and doing a character that roasts?
No, I never wanted to do stand up on that show.
Yeah.
They recruited me through Roast Battle to roast the judges.
That's cool.
So they had a few of us audition, and I just thought, like, how are you coming to Roast Battle and thinking like, let's put this on America's Got Talent?
Right.
I was like, we are saying every ethnic slur, every misogynistic statement. Like, we have no holds barred, right? We just go so hard. And I thought about it. I was like, dude, I cannot be a white guy, another white guy going on TV, be like, hey, Heidi Klum, here's what I think.
Right.
Like, everyone will hate me. But if I do it in character and I separate myself from it, then I feel like people will understand the satire.
Yeah.
And I truly do feel like on that show, I'm a court jester and I'm going in front of royalty, and no one is ever allowed to say anything bad about these people, but I have been given the right to do it.
Yeah.
And some people get it, most people don't, but that's what makes it so fun.
But the people that do are the people that are going to love you for you, and they're gonna love you forever.
Yes.
Like you got those people.
Yes.
Those are the people you want.
There's a generation of kids coming up, and I've gotten so many messages from them that are just like, say such amazing inspirational things to me about like how like I'm a comedian that the world needs right now, and we need to be edgy, we need to be dark, we need to be daring, and I understand like having children as audience members is like so many kids follow me on Instagram now. Like that's mostly what I get is like 15-year-olds. And at first it's kind of like, this is weird. But now I'm like, no, this is great because these fans are going to start spending money soon. And they're the ones that are going to come to the shows.
They're going to grow up with you.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Exactly.
Like you're going to be such a part of their lives as they grow up and mature.
And I think they trust me to continually deliver just like fun, interesting performances for them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's all that really matters is just having people that stand behind you. I knew when I did the show the first time, I said 99% of people will hate this. But 10 million people watch the show every week.
So you walked into it knowing, oh, I'm probably not going to go forward, but I'm still going to kill this shit.
My girlfriend, fiance now, but girlfriend at the time was like, look, I've never heard you think this negatively about anything. Why don't you walk in there and assume that they're going to get it and go out there and just crush? And I was like, okay, you're right. That's the mentality I need to have. And then, so for like the week leading up, I was like, they're going to get it. We got this. And then the second I told my first joke about Tyra Banks, I was like, oh no, this has all gone horribly awry. This is the worst. Like, I mean, you feel yourself die in that biggest crowd I've ever been in front of, 3,000 people, and I am bombing my dick off.
Did you feel bad or did you feel like, oh, you did? Okay.
Oh yeah, because I couldn't even, you're supposed to be on stage for 2 minutes. I was on stage for 7 minutes because it was so cacophonous.
You had to wait for the booze to die down?
Yep.
Did the producers just let him go, or were they like, guys, calm down so we can say his next thing?
They lost control of the room.
No way.
Because the room did not want me to speak, and the only reason why it took so long is because Simon refused to buzz me, and you don't leave until all the buzzers are there. So at one point, the judges had to turn around and beg the audience to calm down. And literally, it was Mel B from the Spice Girls. She goes, if you don't shut up, he'll never leave. And I was just on stage, like flipping my tail, like, what do I do?
Dude, that's insane.
It's the loudest. I swear to God, I don't think I will ever have to perform in an environment like that again, where just I am so vitrially hated.
Right.
Despised. Like, you know how it is. We go on the road, people like, hey, you were great. That was so fun. Where do I find you? Like, we look for those little compliments. We don't go on stage expecting to get obliterated like that.
Dude. Did it take a while to like recover from that? Were you walking around like hungover?
Oh my God, dude. I mean, you can't look, you're a positive person. I'm very positive.
Yeah.
We're both take good care of ourselves. But the thing is, like, that negative energy.
Yeah, you feel that it like resonates.
Dude, you feel sick.
Yeah.
For days, I felt sick. I was like, I was on the verge of like crying at times just because of how overwhelmed my entire system was.
Wow.
And I just really like, I had to like just meditate it out of me for days. I spent like a few hours just sitting on the floor, just going like, you're a good comedian. You were supposed to be hated. You're a villain. Remember that. Remember what you were doing. It's okay. Like, but your brain has to like come to terms with what your body is feeling and understand that like you're okay and it will get over it. But then that doesn't air for 2.5 months. So then that whole panic sets in of like, oh my God, are they going to release this? Why would they? What are they going to say? Worst comedian ever thinks he's somebody and
right. Because they can say anything they want. They can cut it any way they want. They can say anything they want. Do you know Adam Grabowski?
No.
He's a stand-up out of LA. He did America's Got Talent. And I remember there was a clip of him like not doing well, but I think he or somebody else told me that he actually did well in the set and they just cut it to make it not look good. Adam, if I'm getting this wrong, I'm sorry. Maybe it wasn't you, maybe it was somebody else, but something like that happened. And he's a funny dude. And they like made it not look good.
Well, I had a producer tell me that before. A former producer of the show told me, hey, Alex, do not go on that show. They will manipulate your performance any way they want.
Yeah.
And I thought my whole thing was like, look, if I'm doing this in character and it fails completely, then I can just chalk it up to me just being a silly professional asshole
Exactly.
and just being like, hey, yep, I was just going on there to be an idiot and bomb or whatever. But I also knew if I didn't break character, they really couldn't make me look that bad.
Right.
Like they could show it, but if I'm smiling and I'm staring in their faces and I don't back down, then what's the worst they can really do to me?
Right.
And so I went out there knowing, like, as long as I don't break, but literally, I mean, such a test. 7 minutes of that kind of just, annihilation.
Yeah.
And I walked off stage and almost collapsed.
Woo.
I was like, they were like, hey, my producer was like, that was great. We need you to go talk to the social media team. And I was like, no. I need to go be by myself for about 10 or 15 minutes right now. And then literally I just walked out. I just left. I was like, I don't want to talk to anybody. I want to leave as fast as I can, you know? And literally you leave, but I left with my tail between my legs because I was still wearing my tail.
A literal tail. Dude, but that's you're coming off of your second appearance. So you made 2 appearances this season, right?
Yeah, I got 2
you've
this
now
season.
been on the show 3 times.
Technically 6 episodes, but yeah, 3 performances. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So you're coming off of that, and you saw a little bit of a spike, right, on like your social.
Yeah,
your
for sure.
and all that?
Not nearly to the point that other contestants get, the thing is, I know people are following me for the right reasons.
Yes.
You know, I see a lot of people.
You're not getting garbage follows or like side follows where people are like,
not.
oh, this guy might be fun. You're getting the people that want you.
Yes.
In their lives.
Yes, and I can tell because they immediately start commenting and messaging and things like that, and I can see I watched other contestants go up between 5,000 and 100,000, right, over the course of like 2 months. So, you're seeing that happen before your episode, and you're like, oh shit, dude, this is gonna be huge. Maybe 10,000, 20,000. I got 2,000, not even quite 2,000. But again, they're the right people.
Right.
So that's worth way more than just obligatory follows of just this person's on TV.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Yeah.
So it definitely, I mean, the spike is there and the exposure is so huge.
It's foundation, baby.
Yeah. 100%.
You got the foundation now.
Yeah, and I'm also proving to people, my whole thing about that show is I'm proving to people that you cannot expect things from me. Whatever you think I'm going to do is not what I'm going to do.
Yep.
I'm fearless and I'm exciting and I'm completely myself in every way.
Right.
Like AJT doesn't say, hey, do you want to wear something crazy? No, I come to them and I'm like, look, this is my style. This is my aesthetic. How much fun can we have with this?
Mm-hmm.
And I give it up to the show. Like, as much as they need to pull me back as a comedian, because I obviously go very hard in the beginning with a roast, they allow me to really be myself and they listen to my ideas.
Were there any jokes that they said, this is a little too far?
So many.
Can you say some of them? Do you have any that you know of?
There's a few.
Because you did roast jokes for the judges, and you have to get those jokes cleared by the producers before you say them.
Yeah, and not even just the producers. Then that has to go up to the network.
Yeah,
so it goes through.
studio head.
It goes through probably 8 to 10 people that all have to sign off on this thing.
Woo.
And I mean, I'll tell you how specific it is. One of the jokes that I didn't end up using was for Simon Cowell, and it was, I gotta say, your dentist is good. Your teeth are so white they sell coffee in a poor neighborhood. Right? And originally I wrote that joke as a bad neighborhood. And they said, ooh, Alex, we cannot use the word bad neighborhood. It implies a minority neighborhood. This is a very fickle climate we're in this year. And I said, okay, can I say poor neighborhood? And they were like, 100%.
What?
And I was like, that's worse.
That's so much worse.
It's so much worse. But to them, they don't see that. They don't get it. And so, like, there's all these things where, like, I have so many examples of that. I mean, I have, like, hundreds of emails back and forth of, like, what if I word it like this? What if I do this? I will tell you I'll tell you a couple more.
Yeah.
Because this is I love doing this.
Yeah, you got to get them out.
I had one for Terry Crews. That was he grew up in Flint, Michigan, so he wouldn't feel trapped. His skin used to be white, but he drank from the tap. and they were like, they were like, that's really racist. And I was like, I was like, a little bit, but more so it's a political statement about the fact that these people still don't have clean water.
Right, yeah.
And they were like, but are you saying that if you drink bad water, you'll turn black? And I was like, no, you are saying that now. I didn't think about
Don't
it that
put those
way.
words in my mouth.
But that's what happens.
Yeah.
Is like you tell a joke with no intention that and then they reconstruct it to hear something completely different. I really wanted to do one for Heidi Klum where I said, Heidi, whatever you do, just keep smiling. And then everyone will forget you partied on Epstein's island. And they were straight up.
Whoa.
I told them that and they were like, no.
Oh.
And I went, but you told me to make fun of their choices. You told me to stop making fun of their ethnicity and their appearances. You told me choices. And the producer is British. She goes, oh, Alex, there's more of that family-friendly pedophilia material we love so much on our show.
Oh, my
and I was like,
God.
all right, fair enough.
Is she on the flight logs?
Mm-hmm.
Fuck, dude.
Yep.
Oh, man.
And then I'll give you one more.
That would have been brutal.
This is hands down my favorite one. I fought tooth and nail to get this on TV. I gave them so many different variations of it, and eventually they said no. It was for Sofia Vergara, and I said, Sophia, I loved your soda commercials. That's no joke. But I was surprised it was Pepsi. Most Colombians sell Coke. And first of all, look, I'm not trying to toot my own horn. That's a perfect joke.
An insanely perfect joke.
It's a perfect joke.
There's no fat on that joke.
No.
There's no fat.
It works.
Can't be better.
It works. So it's a double entendre. It works
It
for
fucking
her.
rhymes.
It's everything about it is there. And basically they came down to this. They said we can't generalize a stereotype about a country like that. And I was like, what, you mean that Colombia has cocaine? And they were like, yeah, Alex, we can't say that. And I was just like, what do you mean?
Oh, man.
I was like, I sent him an email. I was like, ask 100 Americans one thing they know about Colombia.
Cocaine.
95 will say cocaine.
At least 95. The other 5 won't respond because they're too busy doing cocaine. Okay?
What was the question?
Colombia? Do you have more?
But they were...
Did that almost make it? Did any of these almost make it?
The Simon one was cleared. That the dentist one, the gourmet coffee one.
But you just changed it to pour.
Yeah, but then I ended up having to cut one joke from each judge for timing purposes.
Right.
And the producers, I was like, at first I was like, no, I'm not cutting that joke. And my producer was like, let's think about this. Like, remember the show you're going on. Remember that you don't want the backlash. You want people to be okay, like, with what you're doing. You do want to move on. And I was like, I do, but I also want to stay true to myself. And she's like, I'm not going to tell you not to do it, but I just think your other jokes right here are so good that it's not going to take away or add to what you already have.
Right.
And I was like,
right.
Fair enough, but I mean that's part of what's tough about being on a show like that. You and I do whatever the fuck we want. We go out, we have ideas, we execute them, and nobody tells us to do it differently because we're on our own terms, and we say, "Hey, I'm gonna find out whether this works or not."
Yeah.
On a show like that, literally every single one of my ideas has to go through.
Has to be filtered.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Everything, and that's really, and it's especially when I'm not performing otherwise. That was insanely difficult to deal with all the time. Of just having to hear somebody go, nah, you can't say that. I'm like, oh man, I know I'm on a family-friendly show, but that's the thing. It makes no sense because then they're like, people got mad at me for calling Sophia saying her makeup was done by a drunk drag queen.
I saw that. That was funny.
And to me, I'm like, that's so much worse than saying Colombia has cocaine.
Yeah, 100%.
I mean, first of all, I'm making fun of drag queens there, which is like a pretty risky area.
Totally risky.
Especially in a year like this when everyone has woke the fuck up. So to me, like that's all, I got all the backlash on that. I feel like I told them, I was like, that Colombia joke is the one everyone will talk about. That's the one. Like,
100%.
And unfortunately, you know, without letting that go, I mean, now I got backlash for saying that she looks like a rodeo clown. Which I was like, this is worse. How can you people not understand that?
Oh, man. Dude. Well, I loved it. I thought it was so funny, dude. And the way you put together that final set was so rad.
Oh, thanks, man. I'm very happy with how it turned out.
Good. You should be. And now you got to try to use some of that AGT heat as we slowly start to get back to work and tour again. Like you said, you're going down to San Diego. So are you going to start looking at like cities where you have a following and try to do one-nighters there and
definitely. I mean, I've already started sending out a bunch of like email and booking requests, but mainly I'm already thinking just like 2021. Like I'm not thinking about 2020 so much. Like I'm gonna try.
this year's a wash, right?
It really is. I mean, I have dates in like December in Nebraska. Like I have a weekend there, but like for the
Where are you
most,
going?
Lincoln.
Dude, didn't they close?
Yeah, the Comedy Loft closed, but the same people, Bob Brook, who own the Comedy Loft,
They got a new spot?
they're doing it through the Tada Theater. They call it the Comedy Cabaret.
Oh,
so they're
cool.
bringing
Okay.
they're bringing it back, but they're doing it in the theater
In a
that was
different
next.
venue?
Mm-hmm. So, because you played that spot, right?
I love that place.
Dude,
yeah.
it was a fantastic room. I
Yep.
really enjoyed the crowds there. The staff was
Same.
fantastic.
Cool
I was
area.
really good city.
Surrounded by bars.
I was upset when
Yeah.
when I saw they closed. I I wrote a post for them and stuff like that because we're gonna see this happen more and more.
Yeah.
But I definitely right now I'm just thinking like I'm trying to use the clip and just be like bring me out in 2021 and just try to release as much stuff as possible. And
Yeah.
and it's so weird to promote yourself in a year like this because there's so much extraneous bullshit happening every
It's
single
almost
day.
like you feel bad about celebrating something that happened to you. You know what I mean?
In a weird way. I was sending people messages like, "Hey, can you please vote for me? I know this is stupid right now, but it's important to me, and this is
Right.
what I have."
Right.
And like, I'm
You got to.
yeah,
Yeah.
and and I was very flattered. I mean, so many people, like yourself, made posts for me and like really lifted me up that day. And I talked to Jeff Ross a little bit. That he called me while I was in the dressing room a couple hours before I filmed, and he's like, "Who's with you?" And I was like, "Nobody. COVID. I can't. We're
Right.
not allowed to have anyone here." And he was like, "Well, it doesn't matter that no one's with you. We are all with you."
Oh,
and
that's
you know
cool.
that. And
Yeah.
I was like, and he's such a mentor to me. And
Yeah.
for him to say that before I walked on stage was huge. And that's how I felt. I was like, I'm so fortunate right now to be able to do comedy on TV in a way that I want to in a shit fucking year like this one. To be able to go out there and have this opportunity is just, I'm so grateful to get to do it. And I knew I was like, there's no way I'm going to fuck this up.
Yeah.
Like, even though it doesn't matter, I haven't performed. I know exactly what to do. I know how to rise up.
Cool. And you did, bro. You did. Did you start doing stand-up in LA? Did you start in LA? Do you want to know a funny story?
Please.
So the first open mic I did was at the old clubhouse. Remember the original clubhouse?
Mm-hmm.
It was off El Centro in that little attic space.
Yeah.
So that was like technically the first open mic I did. They were doing like everybody gets 60 seconds after the show ends. And I was like, fuck it, I'll just do it. But the first like legitimate open mic I did was a day later at IO West.
Okay.
On Hollywood Boulevard. And it was the first one where I walked in with notes because the night before I just said fuck it and I like read a headline and tried to make fun of it and did terribly. But the first real one was at IO West. And I walk into IO West and you're there and a couple other people are there. And I put my name in the bucket. I don't know anybody. I have zero friends in the stand-up world. Literally the first open mic I've ever done. And I put my name in the bucket. I walk outside for like 30 minutes or on the list or whatever. I come back in and the guy says, Alex Hooper. And you walk up on stage and you do your thing. And then you look down and you say, all right, that's all I got. And you look at your phone and you're like, oh, 3 minutes on the dot. Because everybody only gets 3 minutes for the mic. And you looked at your phone and you showed it or something, or you just looked at it and you're like, 3 minutes, baby. That's how we do it. Something like that. And I just thought, did this guy just fucking know when to stop at 3? Is this the king of LA? Who is this guy? Dude, I swear to God, that memory stuck with me. It was like one of those early comedy memories where I was just like so like impressed.
I love that.
With you that you could, and I mean, at this point, it's maybe you were just guessing or like,
I mean,
it's easy to feel it out, but I was like, holy shit, how did he do that? How do I do that?
I'll say, I mean, my timing has always been really good since I started stand-up, of like knowing, like there's been times when I'm supposed to do 30 and I walk off stage and it is like 29:58.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, I never looked. I just like, I was like, boom,
you can feel it.
There's something about it where, you 100% can. And there's one thing I keep saying during this pandemic is somebody like, what time is it? I'm like, oh, like 3:36. They're like, oh, it's 3:34. That was pretty good. They were like, that's pretty good. I'm like, haven't lost that yet.
Haven't lost it.
I might not be funny anymore, but I know the time.
Well, what was your experience coming up in LA like in the early days?
I mean, it's I didn't know any differently, right? Because everyone, if you talk to any stand-up comedian, they'll be like, "Do not start in LA. Don't do it."
Oh, right. That's what I would say.
It's a terrible thing to do. Like, go to a smaller city, hone your chops, and then when you're ready, come there. Well, nobody told me that. I just came here and just started doing it.
Same.
So to me, I was like, the one thing that I will say that was an advantage is I saw the talent that was around me, and I said, I need to get good fast.
That's a blessing of being in LA, is you're surrounded by, the greatest,
right?
The greats, just popping in left and right. And back then, when I was starting, it was like Brent Morin, who was on TV, and D'Elia, of course, and Fahim, and those guys were like the next like fucking big dudes, and they were everywhere. And you're always walking around seeing these guys just crushing, and so I think LA is a great place if you need that motivation.
It also trained me to deal with shitty audiences, no audiences, like people that are just so disconnected that don't care that they're even at a show right now, that are talking in the back, looking at their phones while you're in the front row while you're on stage.
Yeah.
It really when I shot my first audition of this season for AGT, I was backstage with a couple other comedians, John Hastings and Sam Brillhart, and they were like, "God, this sucks. How are we going to perform for 3 people?" And I was like, "Guys, this is what we know.
Right.
This is where we fucking live. No one can do this better than us.
Right.
These singers and jugglers don't know this fucking life.
Right.
We know
I've been doing this for years.
This is put me in a full theater. Now I'm scared. But 3 people? Please.
This is like the Tribal Cafe on a Tuesday.
There's a blender going in the back. Some guy's making an adobo sandwich.
Someone's walking around yelling, "Number 67."
That's so like LA comedy. I mean, the one, for everything people will shit on it for, our community is beautiful, and our community, and we are very focused, and we go out there to work, and we support each other. And there's nothing, my favorite thing has been in the last 11 and a half years of me doing this is that people I've started with are on SNL, have Netflix specials, and every win I see someone I know get, it just feels like a win for all of us. Yeah. And I hope people feel the same way, like when they see me doing something, because they know we're all out here fucking struggling and grinding and working our asses off to get an opportunity like that. We're going to these open mics, waiting 3 hours to perform for a bartender by the end of it because everyone left.
Right.
Like everyone sees the end result, but we see the process. Yeah. And so we know when somebody gets something, how hard they worked for it. And because of that, I mean, I'm forever indebted to just this scene for just humbling me and showing me that I can be experimental and weird. And it takes years to learn who you are and how you want to express yourself on stage. But when you get to a place when you're like, I know the ideas I want to present and I know the way I want to do it, you're unstoppable. Yeah. And I think LA has really allowed me to blossom, but also, and the festival world taught me how to blossom.
Oh yeah, dude.
I mean, we've run into each other at like Lightning in a Bottle and stuff like that.
That was so fun.
I loved it, dude.
Did we even know we were going to see each other there?
No,
we just totally ran into each other.
No, I found you sleeping in a hammock one day.
That's right. Oh my God, that's so funny, dude.
Dude, I love it.
That was awesome.
But people that don't go to festivals, I completely understand. They are not for everybody. I get that. Yeah. But when you do go to things like Lightning in a Bottle and Burning Man and Desert Hearts and all these things, you see these people that are so freely expressing themselves in the most creative ways, and they're so fearless and just bounding with energy and love and creativity that you just go like, how do I be what I am at a festival, this fully invincible, uncaged animal that's just free to do whatever I want? How do I bring that to comedy?
Right.
And, that's when my roasting and everything was like, oh, I can just be like more of a character. I can really like just try things and have fun. And LA is a great place to do that because there's a bunch of freaks and weirdos out here. Yeah. If I was in Gary, Indiana, and I walk out on stage in a onesie and a kimono, people be like, I'm not fucking listening to this guy. Like, I don't know what he's been smoking, but it ain't anything I want to be a part of. Not drinking that Kool-Aid. But LA, people are like, all right, we got a freak up here, but let's hear what he has to say. Yeah. Yeah. And a festival is a great place to practice that, with or without drugs. I think a lot of people think that festivals are just like a meeting grounds for people to get fucked up and just trip. Some people, I'm sure. Yeah. But for the most part, it's so much
out away from the drug scene. Like you can do drugs and have a great time at a festival, but you can also go sober and just be around people that are expressing themselves, like you said, super creatively through meeting people, through conversation, through art, through dance, through music, whatever it is. And that's always what I bring back too. Like going to Lightning in a Bottle every year for me is like a way to check in so that when I come back, I'm like, oh, that's where my truth is. That's how I truthfully am with people. Nonstop smiling, away from the phone, always like connecting with new people, seeing friends like you there, and bringing that back after an experience like that it's always really special, and it makes me feel like good that I can reconnect with that piece that gets lost along the way, you know? Because we're always fucking on our phones or social media or whatever, and we lose track of like our authenticity a lot. So yes, for you and I think the festival world is a big part of reconnecting with that piece.
I always feel like after those 3 or 4 days, or even if Burning Man, I was there for 9 days, you know, like, I mean, your body is destroyed. You are exhausted. You're filthy, but my brain is on fire, dude, with ideas and 100%. Just like, and I feel like I'm rebirthed and I've new life every single time I come out of a festival where I've really put my all into the experience. Then I just come out such a better person, so much more full of love and positivity and ready to try different things. When I came up with doing that character that I did on AGT the first time I did on Roast Battle Season 2, I was at a festival tripping on acid, and I thought, how could I wear this on stage? Like, where would I be? Yeah. And then my friend was like, roast battle. Like, you can do that, can't you? And I was like, yeah. And I have a battle in like 2 weeks. I could totally do that. Yeah. And literally, I came up with this idea in November, at the end of November. It was November 16th. And I did that character on Comedy Central on January 23rd. 2 months from inception to being on television with it. And that was proof of like, oh, I can do whatever I want.
Anything you want.
And I should believe in myself. Yes. And any idea that I think is too outlandish, the worst thing I could do is not try it. Right. You know, if I try and fail, then that's not actually a failure because I'm going big and I'm, you know, being experimental and who knows what will happen. But if it succeeds as that character has, then you're unstoppable. And then you just start thinking, well, what else can I do? How much bigger can I go? Yeah. And that's like, I feel like if you watch my very first audition on AGT 2 years ago, and then you watch the one I did last week, you see the growth that happened in between. You see that I'm thinking differently and larger. And I just hope that continues forever.
Oh, 100%. What do you act as well? And do you still have a day job?
Technically, I am still working at Universal Studios.
Because I saw you make a post about that I thought was really cool.
Oh, yeah. When was it the one where I was on the studio lot and I was saying, like, I've worked here for 11 and a half years? Yeah. Like, literally, I was working that job. I've been doing that job a few months before I even started comedy. So I did the same job forever because they were so... as much as I have my qualms with it, they were so willing to work with me after a while and let me go on the road and let me just be, because I would do a good job when I was there. I was a great employee. Right. So if you're a good employee, they're going to let you do more things than if you're a shitty one. Yep. So when I was there, I was 100% present. I was great. I was a good team member. And to go back there, and now I haven't worked there since March 14th. Right. But to go back there and be able to shoot on the studio lot and return there in this grand way felt incredible. Yeah, that's so cool. At this point, I still technically work there so I can get unemployment, but I hit a point a couple months ago and I was like, I'm never going back. I just can't at this point. I will, if I really need to get another job, I will go work at a weed store or something. Yeah. Because at this point, I can't put on that uniform again. I've been separated long enough that this was my breakout year anyway. I told myself that. Cool. So I'm not going back.
Awesome. Yeah. That's awesome, dude.
You got to tell yourself that at some point, you know?
Yeah, you really do. You get to a point where if you continue to live with this plan B, then you're never going to even be able to, you know, make a contact with your plan A. Yeah. You know? So you get to a point and you got to just cut whatever fail-safe you have.
Definitely. And I'm glad I didn't do it earlier because, I mean, when I was like 3 years in, I was on a show with Kyle Kinane and he was like asking me about my day job. And he goes, listen, whatever you do, don't leave until you absolutely have to leave. And I was like, oh, okay. He's like, trust me, like you don't want to jump too early. You don't want to have to go back. And I was like, okay.
Interesting.
So I told myself then and there, I was like, I will work this job until I absolutely cannot until I physically can just break free. And then I never have to go back to a day job again. This is the last one I'll ever have.
Right.
And this is that's kind of the way I feel about this whole pandemic is like, this isn't how I saw myself getting out. But now that I am out, I think it's a sign. And
do you think this? I was talking to JP, our mutual friend, about this. Do you think a lot of people are going to have in like multiple fields? I feel like this pandemic has awoken in people like almost a different. This is gonna sound cliche, but a different like sense of purpose almost, where people are unable to do what they've been doing, and they're so thrown off this, straightforward path that they've been on career-wise, family-wise, relationship-wise, whatever, that now when they're faced with literally a closure of the world and what they were doing before is completely irrelevant for 4 months, they have to figure out what else they want to do or what else they would do with all this time that they have that's free. Do you think more people are taking that as an opportunity and to like pursue what they actually love or like figure out a different thing that they love?
I hope so. I mean, I think some people, this is so crippling to their mental health and their economic situation and things like that they're having trouble seeing past this the next day.
Right.
But I do think other people are saying, okay, wow, what was I doing working at a shoe store for 7 years when I've wanted to make music? Why wasn't I making that music? And now I hope there's enough people out there that are like, okay, there's no more waiting. I think every single person should go after their dreams. I think, is everyone going to make it? Of course not. But the fact is, if you don't go after it, you're going to regret that for the rest of your life. And I hope that people do wake up during this and say like, okay, whatever I knew about society has been shattered.
Exactly.
The world is crumbling down around me. There are seemingly no rules anymore. Everything I was ever taught growing up is completely wrong.
Yeah.
I mean, like starting with like something as simple as like the food pyramid. Remember when they were like, dude, eat
remember the
6
food pyramid?
boxes of spaghetti a day and you'll be healthy. But if you eat an avocado, you're fucked,
You're
fatty.
fucked.
I mean, there's so many things that like we're realizing are just so wrong.
Yeah.
And now I just think like if you're not doing what you want to be doing, then you're wasting an opportunity. And I understand it's not that easy for everybody. People have children and obligations to their family, and they need, a certain amount of comfort to be able and reliability of income. But that doesn't mean that you can't write in a journal every day and express your thoughts, or just make some sketches, or go, learn how to paint or something. I just think expressing yourself in some way is so necessary. And I think people fall into this lifestyle of like, well, I got to go to work, and by the time I get off work, I'm just exhausted, and I got to spend some time with my kids. And so I can't exercise. I can't do the passion that I really want, and I just think people, you got to find and make the time for yourself a little bit.
Yeah, we got the time now.
Yeah, most of us do.
My God.
It's so weird. I don't know how you feel about this, but like, I cannot complain because I've never been so relaxed in my entire life.
Yeah, bro.
But I also went from working at Universal every day, doing stand-up every night, literally having zero time in between. I would just run from one to the other and just go, go, go.
Yeah.
And then I slammed into a brick wall at 100 miles per hour and have been trying to break through the brick for the past 6 months.
Yeah.
And the forced slowdown has been great in a lot of ways. It's been very trying in others because I've just realized that I'm a person who needs a lot of attention.
Aside from AGT, how have you been filling that void?
I mean, a lot of writing, a lot of like meditation. I spend a lot of time in the park. I go outside.
Oh, dude, you slack.
Yeah, I
do slacklining. Yeah. Dude,
And
that's awesome.
I go out there and I slackline a couple times a week, and I just go outside and I get my head right, and I'm just under the beautiful trees, the sun shining on me. I was teaching a kid how to do it for a while. The mother found me. She's like, "Hey, there's no summer camps. Would you teach my 7-year-old how to walk on this rope?" And I was like, sure.
Wow.
And so I gave him I had 12 lessons with him.
Nice.
And it was just a different sense of purpose. Like I started protesting. I started fundraising.
Yeah.
For the first time in the past 10 years, I didn't think about my career as much as I was.
Mm-hmm.
Before, I think I was very narrow-minded and very self-focused, and this made me open up and go, okay, there's so much bigger issues right now than my comedy. So what can I do to be a part of the process to help the world ease their pain?
Mm-hmm.
I'm very positive and I'm very loving. How can I put that vibe into places? How can I inject it where it needs right now?
Yeah, yeah.
And I just realized, like, it doesn't matter that I'm not going out there and making audiences laugh right now. Like, that will come back. Let me think about other things. And I think it's been really healthy for me in a lot of ways.
Yeah.
As much as I can't wait for all this to be done and for me to just be back to normally just going on the road. But
even when it all comes back, right, you're still going to have that piece that you picked up of figuring out, like when you were figuring out different ways of injecting love and happiness, which I love, by the way. That's like what I love to do as well, and what I've been trying to learn more of too. And I think a lot of people have been doing one of two things, right? Either like sitting stagnant, waiting for the world to come back to normal, or like you and I and others figuring out a way to stay involved, stay relevant, and put love into people's lives, right?
definitely.
And you're going to, even when the world comes back to normal, you're going to still have those pieces, those new ways that you found, and you're still going to have those with you. Even if you're not like focused on them as much, because now you're back to stand up and now you got other opportunities, but you're still going to have those. And I think, I would hope that a lot of people would come out of this with that better, like rounded perspective of how to put good shit into the world and just put good energy into the world, in addition to everything that they were focused on pre-March, which was their career, their life, their family. But now with the past like 5 months of being in a timeout, we've had a chance to like step back and take a bigger look at what's going on and how we can be a part of it.
I fully admit I did not realize how bad the problem was with like racial inequality and things like that. Like I knew, I knew it was bad. I grew up in Baltimore. Okay,
That's right. Yeah.
Like when you're a white kid from the suburbs of Baltimore, but I only lived like 20 minutes outside the city. I was in the city all the time. I understand that the system has been unfair since the beginning of time, but really hearing the stories and really paying attention for the first time in my life, really paying attention, it woke me up as well. And I was just like, wow, like this is so fucked in so many ways. And I know obviously I can't solve these problems, but what can I do to help heal, appease, just be a part of, be on the right side of things,
right?
You know? And that's why, like, when all the protests and stuff started, I'd never done a protest. I admit I did not go to like the women's marches or anything like that. I just never did it. Then this happened and I was like, it's time. Like, now is, you believe in this, you know this isn't right, go out there and just be a voice. If anything else, be a body, be a presence, and just watch what's happening. When you go to those protests, you can't help but get swept up in the emotion and feel the pain that these people, when you watch these people speak about losing their brothers and sisters and dads and all these things. I hearing somebody say, I've been pulled over 29 times when I've never been doing anything. And you're like, dude, this is not my reality. But I need to look at you and go like, okay, then how can we make it better?
Right.
You know?
And that's the key thing, is it's not your reality, but it is the reality.
Yes.
Right? And so many people refuse to acknowledge that this is the reality. So they're living in a fake reality. You're living in a false reality if you're thinking, oh, well, if you get pulled over, no matter what, you did something wrong. Oh, if you're running away from a cop, you deserve to get shot. It doesn't matter. Don't run.
Yep.
Like that's a fake, you're a false reality.
I've never been arrested. And which is a fact that a lot of people are like, really? You? Because the only thing I really would have been arrested for is having drugs on me, right?
Right.
I've never been arrested.
Mm-hmm.
I'm pretty sure if I was a black man, I would have been arrested by now.
Yeah.
I would have been pulled over at some point. They would have found that eighth of weed on me or whatever. Right. And they would have been like, sorry, you're 18 years old. This is Baltimore. Bye. You know?
Right, exactly.
And that's, and when you start thinking about that level of privilege, I identify the privilege. I do not go, I don't know what you guys are talking. I 100% know what you're talking about. And I understand that I'm a part of a system that is geared towards me and has been for a very long time. But that doesn't mean that I just need to just accept it and fly with it. If I can do something to maybe make it better, And I just wanted to, I didn't want all this stuff to go by and me not and just have been sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, it's much more important to be part of the game.
Yeah,
right now,
definitely.
than it is sitting on the sidelines.
Yeah, this is history. This year
Dude,
is going down for so many reasons.
Bro, it is so absurd. And like you think back to some of the craziest years of recent memory. The other craziest one I could think of is 2016.
For sure.
But that's only because of the election and like the run up to the election, and it was all political. But there wasn't the amount of like insanely influential celebrities dying, the wildfires, the other crazy shit that's happened in this year.
It's nonstop. Every day we wake up with something else. And honestly, I don't want to, I do like, there's a thing going around where it's like 2020 is not the worst year of our lives. This is the year we need for all of us to become better people, for all of us to feel this struggle and to understand that the world is broken and we need to start making radical changes, which I do like. But all these people are saying 2020 is the worst year ever. I'm like, shut up. Or 2021 is going to
worse.
kick our fucking asses. Right. And I'm right now I'm just living day to day thinking like, well, how can I be a good human? What can I do to help other people? And what can I do to stay sane and healthy?
Mm-hmm.
And I've just realized I'm in a very good place where I'm financially okay because I had a couple good years, so I'm not worried yet about things. So I have the time to take care of myself and to think about these issues. And, and I think that's what I need to do right now.
Yeah.
It wasn't about my career this year as much as it should be when you're on a show like AGT. It was like, okay, I'm glad I have this for something to do, but now like, how can I use the platform to keep speaking to people?
Right. Right. Totally. Yeah. That's cool. Yeah. And using the platform is important, dude. A lot of people don't. And a lot of people ignore it, but I think it's definitely important.
Oh, dude, those people are like, what if I I lost 20,000 followers because I made a statement. Good, then fuck all of those
people.
Did
you see Jim Gaffigan?
Yup, I was just about to bring it up.
Yo, that was so funny, dude.
You're getting Gaffigan to curse publicly. You have pissed off the wrong bacon eater, dude.
Oh, man. Dude, his responses were so funny.
Yeah. And you know what? He's not going to stop selling out shows.
No way.
Of course not. If anything, he added to his fan base
100%.
of people, and he took away the shitheads.
Yes, exactly.
That's what it is. It's like, who do you want on your team?
Yeah.
You really want these people that are going to be upset for saying for calling out the bullshit, the idiocracies that we're facing every single day? No, come on.
Right. Yeah, dude. It's, and I see so many people calling that shit out more and more in like such a funny way. And it gives me a lot of hope because I think more and more people are seeing the absurdity of both sides rather than choosing a side and blindly hating the other one.
Yes.
And I honestly think that is in huge part because of what comedians are doing.
I hope so.
And I don't want to put comedians on a pedestal, but to be honest, news outlets aren't doing that. News outlets aren't calling out bullshit and identifying the absurdities and the irony that we live in. Is comedians.
I know. One of the challenges this year has been like, this is such a needed year for comedy, for us to just lighten the load for everybody. The levity of just taking these situations and dumbing them down to something silly and stupid is so important. But it's also what an amazing time to not kind of have comedy as well happening, because then it did allow us all to kind of focus on what are the real priorities.
Right.
What are we trying to, if we have a job where we get to speak our minds and whatever we want, then how can we make it more important? And even if the importance is not talking about it at all, but just being silly and breaking people out of reality, which is what I've always tried to do with my comedy, is I don't want you to come in and think about your life at all.
Yeah.
I want you to come to my show and turn off your brain.
Off the planet Earth.
Exactly.
Away from the Earth.
That's always what I've wanted.
Yeah.
And I actually heard Jim Carrey say it on a podcast recently where he said that was always my goal, was for you to check out. Was that on stage.
When he was on Maron's?
I think he said it was on Maron's or maybe on Conan's. I listened to both of those.
Oh, cool.
But yeah, but he said that, and I was like, and I realized I was like, wow, we have the exact same mentality.
Yeah.
Is you said I want people to check out. I always said I want to break you out of reality. Either way, we're doing the exact same thing. We just want you to have a break.
Yeah.
You know, we just don't worry about your bills, your kids, your job, whatever it is that, you know, your canker sore that's on your bottom of your lip, you can't stop fucking with your teeth, whatever it may be, just for an hour, you're entertained.
Yes.
And you can forget about it all.
Yep.
And that's what I hope to continue doing in the future. And that's what I hope my performances on a show like America's Got Talent will do.
Yeah.
Is just be like, oh, this guy's just being a silly idiot. Like, let him be.
Yeah. And don't think about anything else going on. That's
Right.
what I try to do with my video stuff too.
Yeah.
Like,
and
just for 2 minutes, don't be on Earth.
And
Be
those
in
are a
this world.
break, and they do that for people, you
Yeah.
know. And that's why I think you're seeing like this. You're seeing like this a spike in following and stuff, and more people commenting, more people watching and sharing the videos, is because they realize that you're being genuine and you're being fun and you're just being yourself and
Yeah.
putting things out in the world that don't have to deal with the news cycle every single day. Like, yeah, I know what San Francisco looks like today. Okay, I know
Dude.
it is apocalyptic. It is orange and red in a city
It is
that
so
is
nuts,
not supposed
man.
to be those. It looks like Mars.
Yeah.
You know,
I grew up in Davis. It looks like that in Davis. My mom was sending me pictures.
it's I mean, everything about this year is flipping us on our heads. And so if we can just give people a minute or two to just be like, let me just watch the sketch on YouTube. And
Yeah.
then they laugh about it and they forget and they share it with some friends and they talk about it. Like, good. Like, we still need to be living our lives. We can't, you know, I think a lot of people think like we're not supposed to be laughing this year. Oh, you
Right.
can't talk about that. We can't make fun of that. Fuck you.
Yeah.
What are we supposed to do? Walk around depressed all the time?
Yeah, we can't have fucking limits on what we're allowed and not allowed to laugh at or make fun of.
Never. And the worst thing is, I think what's happened so much in the past few years is people think their opinion is right and get mad at other people for having their own opinions.
Right.
And it's like, look, if I don't agree with you on something, then okay, then Brent thinks that way and I think this way. Doesn't mean we can't be friends. Doesn't mean we can't hang out. Doesn't mean we need to blow up our entire relationship.
Right.
We need to be allowed to express ourselves and have our own thoughts and allow other people to do the same. And if you don't like it, shut the fuck up about it.
Dude, do you think it used to be like now with the way cancel culture is and the different opinions that people have, like as soon as you have a different opinion, it's like the link in the chain of friendship or humanity is just broken as soon as you have a different opinion. Did it used to be? I feel like it used to be not that. It used like even 5 years ago, people could have a difference in opinion politically, socially, whatever it is, as long as it's not something like ridiculous.
Right.
You know,
It's not like, well, I think the KKK has good ideas.
Black people don't exist, actually. Right. So like that, obviously. But, you know, 5 years ago, it could have been like, oh, well, I think climate change isn't super, or maybe not, that's a bad example, but there could be like one difference in opinion. And now it's like as soon as you have a difference in opinion, that person's a fucking monster. What is that,
So
dude?
I read this book. I think it was in March, maybe April. It's called "The Coddling of the American Mind."
Oh, that's on my
And,
list.
dude. Basically
list.
what the book is about how we have pussified this generation of college students because they basically say, hey, if we don't agree with you, then we will shut you down. Like if we have a speaker that doesn't think the exact way that this group on campus thinks, then they are not allowed to speak because they will like infiltrate the minds of other people that may be susceptible to what they're saying.
So that's so insane.
Debate isn't happening anymore on college campuses in the one place where you're supposed to be able to learn how to be free and how to speak to other people and how to have healthy arguments. They're not happening because instead of arguing, they just say, nope, shut up. I don't want to hear what you have to say.
Right.
I already know I'm right about this.
Right.
And that book has so many examples of speakers being exiled from schools and banished because one group of 7 people in a college of 40,000 said, if that person comes here, we are offended and they are a danger.
Right.
And then that person loses work. And then all these people don't get to hear what I have to say when maybe they would have been open-minded enough to listen.
Mm-hmm.
So I think that's what's happening is people are just they're realizing that their other people's opinions they're viewing them as dangerous to themselves. And then they're
people are
shutting them down.
Yeah, they're viewing opinions as actions,
Mhm.
right? So like you're free to speak an opinion that isn't popular, but you're not allowed to like take an action that might be prejudiced or detrimental toward a specific group of people, right?
Yeah.
Because that's illegal that's like a hate crime, right? But a lot of people are viewing opinions as hate crimes. And there's an example of this dude that wasn't allowed to speak on college campuses. Not Milo.
Okay.
But that's one of them.
That's the big one, yeah.
But there's another one, I forget his name. He was on Rogan. Okay, drink 2 for the first mention of Joe Rogan on this podcast. I can't believe I forget his name. But what his speech was, or his talk was about, is the biological differences in men and women that play a crucial part in the careers of men and women and the career interests in men and women, and how maybe we don't have a lot of business CEOs, partially because of sexism and systemic sexism, but also because women may biologically be less inclined to enter the business world with ambitions of becoming a business CEO. That's like probably terrible paraphrasing of what his argument was.
But I get what you're saying. It's a very fair thought to have.
Right. And so this person, and again, guys, look him up because I forget his name, was like banned from school. And people like banned his book. They protested him coming to speak. And it's like, we can't live and evolve in a world where people are viewing opinions and thoughts as actions and crimes. It's not a crime to have a thought.
Right.
It's not a crime to think, oh, I hate everybody that's a redhead. It's a crime to punch you in the face for being a redhead.
Yes.
I also don't hate you, by the way. I love you very
I'm also
much.
not a redhead. But I look, this is a common argument. This is where I do shut you down right here. This is when your opinion becomes, I'm sorry, we can't be friends. No, you know what it is? I have strawberry blonde hair, but I have a very reddish hue to my skin.
Oh, okay. It reflects.
That's what it is. People, when they think of me, I think they just see a tomato with fuzz coming out of it when they think of me in their brain.
Right.
But and that's what it is. And so everything just becomes red because I have eczema and my skin's red. But that was a fun tangent.
Yeah. But yeah, dude, it's like and I don't have an answer for the way out of that. I mean, my answer is going to be the day I have kids, don't fucking raise them like that.
Yeah.
That's it. That's my answer.
We can't be scared of this stuff. We have to talk. We have to talk about this shit.
Right.
And the more we talk about it openly, the more we can realize that it doesn't matter if we think differently, because there's other values that will line up. And if the values don't line up, that's fine. Then you guys don't have to be together. But the big problem of this year that I think we're seeing more than anything is divisiveness.
Yes.
And we are not united right now. And
no, not a chance.
That's a terrifying thing. If you talk to what other countries think about America right now, this is not the land of opportunity.
No.
This is not the fields of gold that they thought they were coming to.
Mm-hmm.
People are looking like, man, they really got it fucked up over there.
Yeah.
And the thing is, obviously, this isn't. We don't have 20 million people. It's different when you have almost 400 million. But the fact is, we're being divided at every single level. And I just think if we listen to each other. You know, if somebody, like you said, like if somebody came up to me and was like, I don't think climate change is real, I'm going to be like, all right, you're probably wrong, but I'll listen. I'll be like, tell me why.
Yeah, tell me why.
Back it up.
Dude, that's the thing. That's the thing that I don't think enough people are doing, especially, and I don't enjoy getting political, but also I do. So especially when it comes to like Trump stuff, right? Like, and I've said this before in conversation, a year ago or even 2-3 years ago, I was one of those people that would be like, yo, don't even talk to me about Trump. Fuck that dude. He's never done anything right. This guy's an idiot. Get him out. Now, although I'm not a Trump supporter, I have heard and listened to and spoken with enough people that I have like way more of an understanding of why people like him, what they like about him, some stuff that I really like that he's done. But even more so, I know the reasons why I don't like him.
Yeah. Even
more now because I've listened and now I can actually like articulate these reasons and my feelings, and they're just fucking opinions. Again, at the end of the day, I have like close friends and family members that are like Trump supporters, and I've gone in fucking depth conversations with these people to the point where it's like breaking down a house You take down all the paint, you take down the fucking blinds, the windows, you take everything out, and all you have is the wooden foundation. And I've had that conversation where we get down to the fucking foundation of their opinion and my opinion, and it's just different.
Yeah.
And that's it. And neither of us is going to change the other's mind because we've broken it down to the point where I get it. And so I don't think people do that enough because all we're doing is reading headlines and retweeting headlines without reading the fucking article. And I think it's a little bit brainwashy. It's a little bit like it makes you a little bit disillusioned because you don't have a full perspective toward what the other side is. So it just makes people say like, oh, well, fuck Biden. He's terrible. 100% can't have him. Fuck Trump. Terrible. 100% can't have him. When if you really have a conversation, you're going to see some things you like and you're going to know better why you may like or dislike that person. And you could take that perspective on politics and put it toward a lot of shit that's happening right now. Put it toward the climate. Put it toward social justice, police reform. You know, there's so many different areas where people are just like speaking headlines that they see on Twitter instead of getting down to that fucking fundamental foundation and being able to articulate the reasons they like something or dislike something.
Yeah, I mean, people hate when I say this, but I would really like Trump if he wasn't the president. Like, because I just think,
Sure.
Yes,
Explain.
he's a dick face. He is unapologetic, but he's also bold and funny. And
Dude, he's so funny, dude.
He's so funny.
Sorry, I have to interrupt you. Did you see his last nickname for Joe Biden?
No. What?
Because Biden was like he wasn't doing any public appearances or anything.
Yeah.
And Trump called him Joe Hayden. Dude, tell me that's not the funniest thing. That is so funny, dude.
My favorite.
That's a roast joke.
Dude, it's so good. And that's so perfect.
If Trump said that on a Tuesday night at the store, bro,
done.
The room would
Dude.
explode.
Oh man, that
Yeah.
roof's blowing off.
Yeah.
Here's the but here's like it's when he does things like when people made fun of him because he couldn't drink water correctly, right? And then he goes out at the next rally, picks up a water cup with one hand, takes a sip, places it down triumphantly, and spreads his arms like he just won a decathlon. And everyone cheered. I was like, that is the funniest fucking thing
It's so funny.
I have ever
Yeah.
seen.
It's
like
hilarious.
all he did was take a sip of water and he just got
Thousands of people
stood
just
up.
erupted.
I mean, that I don't that's the thing is like, of course I hate this man for everything that he's done for to our country and for making, neo-Nazis not scared again. There's all these reasons why I don't like him. But it's only because he's the president. If he's a shitty businessman, okay, then I'm sorry he's a shitty businessman, but he figured something out that the other people didn't, and he's, whatever you want to say about him.
Yeah.
But that's the thing is just like, I want to be able to take it in stride and laugh at him. But then I watch like some of the Republican National Convention and I want to look at it like satire because I'm like, that
can't be real.
Come on. The two people that pulled the guns on a Black Lives Matter rally are telling America that we cannot allow affordable housing in our neighborhoods.
Know.
Like, I want to look at that and be like, this is a joke, right? Nobody is taking this seriously, but I know that half the country's watching going, yep, because we have traveled the country.
Yeah.
We've seen it. When people said, I can't believe Trump got elected,
comedians were like, I saw it.
I saw. Do you ever go anywhere that's not LA or New York?
Exactly.
Because you'll see the signs everywhere.
Everywhere.
You'll see people that don't really care about politics, but they hear a billionaire say, hey, I will help you.
Drain the swamp.
Yup.
Yeah.
Dude, that was my vote for the Washington Redskins to change the name. I wanted to be the Washington Swamp. I thought that'd be such a badass
the Washington
name,
Swamp
dude.
People?
Yeah.
That'd be sweet. Oh, dude, that'd be so
Don't
funny.
get bogged down in the swamp.
It's just a swamp creature mascot.
Dude, I think it'd be awesome.
That would be great.
The Washington
That'd be awesome.
Swamp. Like, use everything that we've hated against and just make it the thing. And then, then people will take it less seriously. And I think that's the one thing is just like, I want people to just open themselves up more and laugh and joke about things and realize that, like, you don't have to take yourself so seriously.
Yeah.
Like, I mean, I see the comments on my AGT videos. People are like, how dare this person be so mean? There's so many children that are being bullied. It's like, no fucking shit.
Yeah.
I'm one of them.
Right.
Now you're bullying.
Right.
You're the one. And one of the things I love is the people I said it on this podcast earlier. I was like, if you don't like something, shut the fuck up. Because every time you comment, I hate this person, you just showed the video to 10 more people. So every time you talk
the
about
algorithm.
100%.
Yeah.
Every time you talk about how much and so I respond and I just go, yeah, this guy sucks. I hate him so much. We should start an online petition to keep him off TV forever.
Yep.
You know, I will play along
100%.
all day.
Yeah.
Because all that does is make people go, well, now I got to watch it. You know, immediately 2 hours after I was off stage, there was already an Entertainment Tonight article of Sofia Vergara buzzes horrific comedian after scathing insults. And so, of course, people like one of my friends sent me that. They're like, oh, this isn't good. I was like, are you kidding?
This is great.
This is fantastic.
Yeah,
this is going to be framed on my wall.
100%.
Like,
dude.
this is that's exactly what I need. You know, so that's what if you're listening to this podcast, watching it, and you are a person that doesn't like something, don't comment.
Just
don't share it to your friends.
Yeah, dude. I'll see on Twitter or Facebook sometimes people will share a video and be like, God, this guy is so fucking bad. And I'll just be like, thank you for sharing. Dude, thanks for sharing.
And that's what happened a couple months ago. There was a college campus where this guy made a really racist joke in like the school newspaper or something like that.
Yeah.
Right. And the fact is, then a group got behind it and called this person out, and this became national news where this person made this joke. If you hadn't done anything, 15 people would have seen that joke and never thought about it again.
Right.
But instead, you brought it into the national spotlight, and now everybody is reading this joke and everybody is having an opinion when all you wanted was for this to go away. You fucking moron. Like, why people don't understand that is just baffling to me.
It's insane. Everybody wants the clout, dude. Everybody wants, we live for those likes and those comments, and
that's it.
It's weird. The internet's a weird place, dude.
It is. You know, it's our best friend and our worst enemy in so many ways.
I have such a love-hate relationship with it, with like just internet culture and content creation, and especially in the past 4 or 5 months, I stopped doing Zoom shows in like beginning of May. So I've literally just been like an internet comedian for like 3 or 4 months. Yeah. And now finally starting to get back on stage, which is where my heart is. But those 3 or 4 months, man, I mean, the biggest ups and the biggest downs you could ever have come on the internet. It's not even in life anymore. I could go through a breakup, like the worst breakup, and it won't feel as bad as like a video bombing on the internet, you know? Yeah. It won't feel as bad as 100 mean comments.
I mean, and that's the thing and basically every one of those videos, you're basically open micing a concept.
Oh,
you know what I mean?
100%.
And so people
you're working out a bit.
People are like, this wasn't funny at all. This guy, I used to think this guy was good, but this one just showed. Yep. I liked 20 of his videos before, but this one, I'm done.
I'm out of here.
Like, and that's the thing is like, we are throwing spaghetti at a wall a lot of time, and especially to go through the effort because your videos are very well produced, they're well shot, they're well acted. It takes effort to put that out. You're not just holding a camera on yourself and like talking. You're doing something and you're putting in the work. And so if people don't like it, that's okay. Not everything is going to hit. Right. But it's the percentages. If you watch 20 videos and you're like, wow, 16 of those were fucking fantastic. Great. Let Brent fail the other 4 times.
Yeah. Exactly.
Like, that's how it's going to get better.
Yeah. And I love failing online. I love failing online, and I love failing on the stage, because those are the growing pains you need so that you're not just moving laterally the whole time. You need to fail. Like, I'll see sometimes people will comment on somebody else's video and be like, oh, this guy never misses. He's literally never made something bad. And I'll see that and be like, man, that sucks for him. Yeah. That he's never made anything bad.
Because that's coming.
That's coming.
And it's going to come when you have a huge following.
And you're going to fuck up.
Yeah.
You know, maybe someone like that actually like does something bad, you know, like makes a big mistake that they wouldn't have made if they had taken risks earlier on. That's why, like, I don't like being stuck in like a niche. Like you've spread out so much. Like, you act, you do stand up, you have the roast, and then you do the character as the roast, right? And it's similar to what I do online. It's like I'll do impressions, I'll do sketches, I'll do music video parodies, whatever. And we try all these different things because we fail and fail and fail, so that we're not just stuck in one lane the whole time, but we can fail and then grow even more after that failure in all these different lanes. And it kind of makes, for me at least, that makes me feel like I'm blooming.
For sure.
You know?
Well, what's so beautiful about it too is like, you don't need everybody to like you.
Yeah.
I heard Neil Young say on a podcast, he's like, oh, the people that don't like me, I respect them even more than the people that do.
Yeah.
Because they are strong enough to have an opinion to say, hey, that's not for me, which inspires me to go, well, then let me find the people that I'm for.
Did you ever have a moment where you were like, oh, I don't need everyone to like me?
Yeah, I mean, the first thing of AGT was a pretty big telling. I mean,
but like even through your career.
Yeah, I mean, I realized that I'm not a controversial comedian by any means, I don't think, but I am like sort of progressive with my ideas, and sometimes I'll make a bit that goes so far beyond what traditional stand-up comedy is that I understand that not everyone's going to go with me on this journey. And especially if I'm doing some insane, like I have a bit like where it is literally like I get stuck in an electronic musical beat and I have an entire existential crisis through it. I'm taking that shit to fucking, Alabama and expecting them to understand, and some people will and a lot of people won't. But the fact is like you have to, it's just, you're picking up people along the way. Like if you go to a crowd of 100 people and one person thinks you're funny, okay, well, that's one more person that you picked up. Don't worry about 99 people not liking you. That one person understands you. And that's what so much of comedy is finding your crowd. And over the year, you figure out how you want to cultivate it and how you want your audience to look. And you want like-minded people like yourself that are going to be expressive and bold and allow you to make those misses, you know?
Yeah.
And so I mean, I had a very big moment where I was just like, look, I don't need everybody. This is like the couple thousand people that just started following me. I know they're the right people. So if there were 10,000 that just clicked because I'm on TV, who cares? Yeah, maybe networks will be like, oh, well, we like that guy's following more. It's like, okay, but I will create my own path here. And and especially in this world where there is no one way to do it, there's every single comedian or performer you talk to right now will tell you a completely different way that they came up. Right? If you talk to Ali Wong, she is 100% different than what Andrew Schultz did, you know? But that's inspiring. That should tell you there is no answer. So just do what you want to do and find it. And then people will start coming more and more and more. And you will continue to grow and really become yourself. I don't know exactly where I'm going, but I know the direction is right. And I know that if I keep pushing towards this place of love and positivity and silliness, then I will be 100% fine wherever I end up.
Yeah. That's beautiful, dude. That's totally true. Yeah. If you're making stuff for yourself and you're making yourself fulfilled, then it's not like you're working for anybody else. You're working for yourself, and they'll come. You're like a gravitational force. The way that you operate and the way I try to operate is just like
you operate that way,
like a force, like a positive force, you know. And some people are like a negative force. Like I don't want to name names, but every news anchor.
But just don't pander. That's the thing. Don't ever do something because you think the crowd will like it more if you act this way. That's not fair to yourself or them.
No,
because then if you're not being authentic and genuine, then what the fuck are you doing this for? This is our opportunity to really, I mean, we live freely as comedians. We really do. We can have consequences for our actions and for what we say, but it is our choice of what we do on stage every single night. If I chose to go on stage one night and not speak for the whole hour and just try to do act outs and be like a mime, that would be my choice, whether people got it or not. I might lose the whole audience, but that is my choice and I'm allowed to do it. And I'm just think like, if you do it for the right reasons, you'll find the right people.
Yeah. How can people take that aren't comedians? How do people take that philosophy that are not comedians?
I think whatever you're doing in your work, if you're a nurse and you, treat people with the way you would treat your family or do things like if you're supposed to do a job, something in your work that you're not comfortable with, that you don't agree with, don't be afraid to speak up. I hear a lot of people saying, well, it's not my place. My boss told me I have to do it. And it's like, well, don't you want to show initiative? Don't you want to, if you have a better idea of how something should be done, don't you think your boss would appreciate you bringing that to the table and possibly saving a company money and time and whatever else?
Yeah.
Like if you have ideas, don't hold them in. And if people don't want to hear them, then you're not in the right place, and you need to find a place that will listen to you. I think no matter who you are or what you're doing, being true to yourself is one of the most important things you can ever do. And if you do feel like that you're coming from a place that you feel good about, then you're going to do things in the right way. And don't be afraid to experiment. I mean, maybe not if you're the doctor. If you're like, I'm going to try this surgery with chopsticks instead of a scalpel. It's just like, that's a little different.
Right.
But just don't be afraid to be yourself and really explore how much of that you can be. I mean, dude, if you met me 5 years ago, yeah, I was kind of wearing a little bit of silly stuff, but like I was a 100% different person because I was too afraid of what people would think. And then I got to a point where it's like, why do I care? Why do I care if people look at me and go, dude, what's wrong with your face? It's like, hey, I have eczema. This is my body. This is how my face looks. It's not your face. What the fuck do you care? I'm the one that has to look at it every day, okay? I'm the one that has to be wearing a clown mask with no makeup on. So don't tell me that you like, if I'm owning it, don't fucking worry. Is there anything better than seeing a 500-pound fat guy walking through Coachella with tiny little short shorts and no shirt on?
Right.
You're like, that guy?
That guy loves himself.
He loves himself, and he's in it, and he's not afraid to show it.
Yeah.
And if other people are afraid of that, then you're the problem because you're insecure about something in yourself, and you're terrified. But if you're comfortable, you don't care what people do. I went to a nude beach on my birthday this year for the first time ever.
Cool.
And I went by myself and I got naked. And people were like, I can't believe you got naked. I was like, do you know what it's like to be a single guy clothed at a nude beach? It was way creepier for me to be naked.
Right.
Like, but it was something I was afraid of because I've always had issues with my body. But doing that allowed me to go, no, I'm going to walk around with my dick flopping around in front of all these people and I'm not going to give a shit. And you know what happened? I felt comfortable. I started talking to people around me that were also naked.
Cool.
I started making friends.
Yeah.
I was like, I'm exposed. I'm showing you everything. There's nothing left for me to be afraid of. Right? I can't think like, well, it's not exactly hanging the way I wanted to today. Maybe I should get some more blood in. Maybe I should walk around with a boner. Like, no, I'm letting my tiny little dick go as far into me like I can, like an afraid turtle. And I'm showing this to 19-year-old girls that I'm walking right by.
Right.
And I do not give a shit.
Right.
And man, it felt good.
Maybe that's a good like life lesson. If everybody spent a couple hours at a nude beach, I think they would come back to life with a bit like more open.
I hope. I hope so.
You know,
I was afraid of it.
Doing something like I was talking to JP when I went down to Austin. I jumped off a bridge and
I saw that bridge because he like backflipped off.
Yeah,
dude.
that motherfucker has no fear.
But dude, that looked like such a perfect spot to do that. Like it's like probably like 15, 20 feet up.
Can you
right?
do flips off bridges? And
No,
shit?
I can't do flips. I'll jump off them, but I can't do flips.
See, before I jumped off that bridge, I'd never jumped off bridges. I'm not a bridge jumper.
Wow.
And so now I'm like dying for the next chance I can get to jump off a bridge.
I know, right?
But overcoming that fear is like a huge thing that we talked about, and doing something because it's a similar thing to going to a nude beach alone and just like taking off all your clothes and literally being exposed in every literal and metaphorical way possible.
Yes.
Right? It's overcoming that fear. And once you do that, once you do something like that in life, whether it's jumping off a bridge, going to a nude beach, fucking, going on a road trip by yourself, going to visit another country by yourself, doing something that like will peel away a layer of fear, will like open up a new life to you, right?
Yeah.
Because it changes your brain chemistry. From that moment on, your brain chemistry has changed.
Yeah.
For the rest of your life. You're sitting here in front of me today, if you hadn't have done the nude beach thing, you would be a different Alex Hooper.
I would be, for sure.
You would be.
Let me ask you this. What did JP say to you to get you to jump off that bridge? Because if you've never done that before, right, you're in your early 30s, right?
I'm 30, yeah.
Yeah. So
I'm 17, sorry.
Yeah, sorry, me too. This mustache is waxed on,
It's
everybody.
waxed, it's fake. Yep.
But yeah, so, I mean, the thing is, you've never done that before. That's something most people are going to do in their youth and probably not much after that.
Yeah.
So what did he tell you, or what did he kind of get in your mindset that let you know this is okay and it's worth it?
Yeah, I got to Austin and we were in his kitchen talking about like we were going to shoot a couple videos. He was asking, is there anything else you want to do while you're in Austin this week? And I said, yeah, there's a barbecue spot I want to try. I heard the downtown area is cool. I'd like to see that. And he said, well, there's also a bridge we can jump off. And in my mind, I immediately went, no. No thanks. But out loud, I didn't want to like feel. I wanted to know like why he offered that as an option, and I was like, oh well, how high is the bridge? And he's like, oh, it's about 25 feet. And a second voice popped in and was like, okay, right? And I like look up to JP in a lot of different ways. Just,
yeah,
like I look up to you. I have friends. That
He's
I just
pioneering
take
a new way of being on the internet and a new way of being a personality on the internet
and expressing himself freely. It's really cool to see. So I take little things from my friends that help like build my philosophies. And one of the things that I've taken from him over the past like year or two of knowing him is just like his the fear that doesn't exist. Like he doesn't have fear in his life at all. And so I just thought when he said, oh, it's a great way to like overcome a fear and just do it. And I was like, oh, okay, sure. Like secretly hoping that we wouldn't do it.
Yeah.
Next thing I know, the next day we're driving to the bridge and I was like, fuck, all right, I'm going to do this. And I just thought like, as much as I don't want to do it, that's probably why I should do it. And there was
100%.
even a moment when I was on the bridge about to jump and I felt that voice come up like, fucking don't do this, dude. And that's the moment I jumped off. And
I love that.
And
when you hit that water, how good did it feel?
Oh, it was like being reborn, dude. It's like, and that's such a small thing. Like just jumping off a bridge is like not really a huge life-changing ordeal. But it kind of was for me because I'm scared of doing that, you know? And so it peeled back a layer and allowed me to like move on from that point with less fear and just knowing that, oh, if I can quell that voice that spoke up and said no, and I could jump off a bridge when that voice is starting to rise up, what else can I do when that voice starts to rise up for the rest of my life, you know?
Always. Did you watch Seinfeld's new special by any chance?
I haven't seen it yet.
Do you know how he starts it off?
How?
He jumps out of a 40-foot helicopter into a bay. He jumps a spinning helicopter.
Seinfeld does?
At 65 years old, he jumps. He's 40 feet above the water in a helicopter, and he jumps out of it because he wanted to do like a James Bond style entrance, basically.
Yeah.
And then he basically just comes on stage like in a tuxedo, like after like you see this jump, and he goes down into the water, and then he comes out on stage like drying himself off in a tuxedo.
What?
And at the end of the special, they show like the lead up of like how he did it, how he got like a trainer to like show him how to jump off things and stuff. But if nothing else, I just thought like, man, at 65 to take a leap like that is so inspiring and so amazing. And yeah, it's kind of a fickle thing, but it just shows that the fearlessness, right? And it just shows like, look, if you jump and you pretty much turn yourself into a pencil from 40 feet up, you're pretty much not going to get hurt. Like there's little things that could happen, but you're pretty safe in that respect. It's just a matter of, I mean, you saw what 25 feet looked up. Put another 15 on top of that. There's that moment when you go, holy fuck, am I really going to do this right now? But then you're also like, how epic is this going to look on this special when I jump out of a helicopter? Yeah, like, you know, the first 10 jokes don't even matter anymore because you're still thinking about the fact that I fucking jumped out of a helicopter.
Right, yeah.
So the fact that you went and did that, I love it because that's exactly what people need to do. You need to put yourself in situations of discomfort and fear, and you need to allow yourself to work through them and understand that you can breathe and process your way through anything as long as you just understand that you're going to be okay and you believe in yourself.
Yeah.
Right. And I'm not saying go do something stupid. I'm not saying go start juggling knives when you don't know how to juggle at all. But I am saying to a certain extent, you need to put yourself in slightly dangerous situations so that you do feel that moment where your stomach tenses up, but then you come out of it and there's that relief. Yeah. There's that rebirth. And those are when you're going to really feel alive and feel like you're doing things the right way. And that's when you're going to start creating more.
Yeah. You're going to create more or you're just going to be a happier person.
Yep.
You're just going to be more happy, dude. If you decide to take that yoga class that you've been embarrassed to take because you don't want to be in spandex around other people, and then you take it and you make a friend and you feel fucking great, you're just going to go through life happier. You're going to jump off a bridge, you're going to go through life happier. You're going to go to a nude beach by yourself, you're going to go through life happier because you overcame that little voice that kept telling you no the whole time.
Yeah, and I think people just need to do that. It's so easy. It's so easy to give into that voice. It's so easy to be like, what's the easier thing than jumping off the bridge? Not jumping off the bridge. Right? But then you're going to watch somebody else do it, and you're going to walk away from that going, I probably should have done it, right? Like, I can't believe I didn't do it in that one opportunity. Whereas instead you go, now I have found out something else about me, and I know that I can do other things because I did that.
Yeah.
You know, and I think that's so crucial, and especially in a year like this one, when we're all learning so much more about who we are, that, you know, with all this time to ourselves. So now it's the time to like, yeah, find a way to scare yourself.
Yeah.
Do it. If you wanted to play piano for your whole life, but you've always been too afraid that you're going to suck at it, guess what? You are going to suck at it.
Yeah.
But when you play that first scale perfectly for the first time, you're going to say, holy shit, I cannot believe I just did that. And now I want to go deeper. Now I want to learn more.
Dude. Yep. You're going to uncover new layers, dude. I love it. It's beautiful.
Yeah.
It's beautiful, dude. We got to get out of here. But before we do, tell me about this beautiful shawl that you've been wearing.
Oh, yeah.
You're just lighting up the room, dude. I love this thing.
So when I'm my onstage outfits is I wear kimonos over just like typical like black t-shirts and stuff.
Yeah.
And it's a way of like, look, I don't want to go on stage wearing my AGT style shit. I don't need to walk out in a onesie with a fur coat and a tail and immediately be the most unrelatable person on the planet. Like they're like, yeah, I'm gonna listen to ideas from that. No thanks. But there is a way of like incorporating my style into things, and I realized like my fiance makes me kimonos.
No way.
She knows how to sew, and
That's so cool.
she makes festival clothing and stuff just as a hobby. And so she started making me these kimonos, and I just loved them so much. And I realized what a perfect way to feel like myself on stage, but without being too charactery. And I only started wearing this stuff in 2019 when I first started headlining. And I remember really having a conversation with a few people, and it was like, well, what are you afraid of? And I was like, that people won't listen to me anymore. And they're like, and Jeff Ross even said, he was like, look at Andrew Dice Clay. He's a character on stage, but he's not really a character. He's a hyperbolized version of himself.
Yeah.
If anything, and this is exactly what happened, people will trust you more.
Yeah.
They will listen to you more because they know you're being authentic to yourself, and then they have more of a reason to be like, well, let me listen to what this guy has to say. Maybe I don't. Maybe I agree. Maybe I don't. But if nothing else, I will give him the time.
Yeah.
And that's when I really started like feeling like myself. And the thing about the kimonos is like they flow off me in the same way that I want to flow on stage.
Yeah,
when I know I'm having a good set, if I'm like dipping real low and weird and making all these weird movements, that's when I know I'm really in it. If I'm like sitting there like holding the mic like this and kind of holding onto the stand, I'm not doing well. But if I'm really in a flow state, then I feel it. And the kimono kind of helps me just instantly feel that way, where it's like, guys, like, we're here to have fun.
Right. Yeah.
Clearly, we're here. I'm here to have a good time.
Right.
Like,
you're not gonna see anybody in a kimono that's there to put the room down.
Yeah, exactly. And so then I think people it allows them to kind of open up a little bit more too. And so whenever I'm like, you know, I don't walk around with these all the time or anything, but when I'm on a podcast, when I'm on stage, when I'm in a situation that calls for any sort of like interview or something like that, I just want to add a little touch to it.
Flow.
You know?
You flow, bro.
And that's it.
Do you ever play with flow toys at festivals?
I'm a whipper. I have a whip.
Is that the light whip that you can? It's
fiber optic bit whip. It's like it turns all these rainbow colors. And you flow it all around.
Dude, those are nuts. Dude.
I'm addicted.
Really?
My fiance bought me one like 4 years ago, and every festival and she makes me costumes that adapt to the whip. So I have all these like things that wear like ninja costumes and stuff that go with it. Like that character I do on AGT, like the whip is perfect for it because like I have the tail and I become like the sorcerer kind of thing. Yeah. And then I'm just walking around with this magical toy, just like throwing it in people's faces. And people are like, what the fuck, dude? And it's just,
it's dope, dude.
It's so fun. Like just having a toy to play with and just like keeps you distracted.
I like just watching the toys when I'm there.
Me too.
I wrote this character though, that I want to make into a video. He's like America's best light show guy, and he's just like and it's like a fake documentary about him, kind of in like the style of the Michael Jordan documentary.
Oh yeah,
where it's just super intense about this dude that just like does light shows for people, and like he has a rivalry with this guy, and they like go to battle, and it's crazy.
Somebody feeds him a bad drugs before the very last, like before the very last of it. He's like, no man, I gotta work through my hands.
He's got to work through it.
They glue together his gloves. What? And then I gotta find a new. Now I gotta find a new way to do it.
Yeah, I got to do that. I've had the experiences enough to figure that character out. I think.
Oh, I think you have.
Cool, bro. Well, where can people find you online if they want to find all your stuff? Your clips are on YouTube.
Yeah, YouTube, Alex Hooper Comedy, hoopercomedy.com, and then on all social media is Hooper Hair Puff. If you type in my name to Google, it comes up pretty quick, so I'm very easy to find. Actually, funny enough, somebody commented on my last YouTube video, their name was Alex Hooper, and they said, I hate this guy. And I commented back, I just looked at a lot of laughs. I was like, well, then you better find a way to get more famous than me or you're gonna be fucked, dude.
That's funny.
I can only imagine like somebody just like this gorgeous ripped 6'5" guy like, hi, I'm Alex Hooper. Somebody's like, oh like
shit.
that comedian. And he's like, motherfucker.
Like you mean like the crazy fairy guy that roasts people?
I love thinking about that.
That's awesome, dude. That'll happen for sure.
Oh yeah,
I'm excited for it.
Thank you for having me, buddy.
Brother, I love you. I love you so much.
I love you
your
too.
vibe. I love your positive energy. I love your hair. I love everything about you.
We're in it to win it. We're gonna work together a lot over the course of our lives, dude.
100%.
And
I'm excited.
I love knowing that.
Dude, I'm so excited for the people we're coming up with. Like the circles in our like level.
Yep.
You know what I mean?
Yeah,
like,
we're watching explosions happen right now. It's like literally like 4 years ago, you see stuff start to happen like little by little by little.
Yeah.
Right now, every single person I know that I started with is blowing up so hard.
Dude, it's like you're seeing
amazing.
the exhaust from the rockets. Like everybody's their own rocket, and you see all these fucking exhaust plumes coming off.
Yeah.
Because all these people are just about to skyrocket. You're one of them. I'm excited for you.
You too, brother.
Love you, bro.
Love you.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
And that's it, man. I hope you guys like this week's show. Follow Alex Hooper at Hooper Hair Puff on social media. Alex Hooper on YouTube. Check out his stuff on America's Got Talent. And enjoy it, dude. Take his lessons, man. He is a positive dude. How happy is that guy? He's so happy. It's impossible to not feel good after talking to Alex Hooper. And I love the dude. I love him. You love him now, too, I hope. And I love you. Okay? Have a good week. Bye-bye.